Hello, my name is Eric and I'm doing another one of my photography vlogs called One Body, One Lens, One Roll, One Day. I am here at Medina Marsh on the northern outskirts of Medina City. Quaint little park. There's a pond over there. Big walking area. I mean, very huge marshland, probably, preservation type thing for birds and insects and small animals and stuff like that. But I do see a dog park, a dog walking cement path. Looks like goes the entire way around. It's probably a good mile and a half, maybe, yeah, mile and a half, probably loop or something like that. So if you were like jogging or something, to make a good joggers. It is a rather cool October afternoon, about a week before Halloween. It is a overcast, mostly cloudy, no, it's just totally cloudy day. The sun's not out at all. And it kind of drizzled a little bit. So it's kind of a cool, dampish kind of a day. Today's camera is a Pentax ZX10. I've shot this a few times, along with a couple of its sister cameras, the ZX50. The ZXs are a little notorious for not having a good pop-up flash. The spring would eventually wear out. This one actually is very nice. Today's lens, I'm borrowing a friend of mine's, Rob's, Pentax SMC-FA 50mm 1.4. So this is the third variant of a 50-1.4 I've shot. The first one was my Takamar 50-1.4, which you saw many times before. Second one was an SMC-M manual focus 50-1.4 on my LX camera. So this is now the autofocus 50-1.4. This is what they would call the original or the traditional one. They did discontinue it for a little bit because the DFA one came out, or the autofocus with the motor and the lens one came out. A lot of people kind of grumped and groaned, and they re-released it kind of more of in a grayish tone. So this lens has been re-released. I don't have any higher speed film, so I grabbed the fastest roll I have. It is a roll of 200 speed. This is Film Photography Projects X-Ray black and white. I got this as part of a batch from eBay. This is one of the last FPP rolls I have, so I'm gonna have to go hunting for some more. This camera does have the date back, but the battery is long since gone, so I don't have to worry about any date stamp on it whatsoever. This is a non-DX coded roll of film. So by nature, if a DX camera can't read the DX code, it will default to 100 ISO. So I am actually going to adjust it. Instead of 200, I'm going to do my normal third half stop overexposure, just because I like contrast on the negs and a little bit more denser neg. Relatively in-date film, maybe within a year expiration, so I'm not making any adjustments for expired film. So I'm going to set it for 160, and 160 with a 50-1.4, that should get me good. Now I do have a lot of picture modes. I do have a panoramic mode. I'll probably do an aperture priority or some of the picture modes. All right, now that I'm all loaded up, let me go see what I can get. Be right back. As the fall colors start to come out, I see the yellow leaves, I see kind of more of the orangey leaves. Good contrast against the greenish grass and the tan weeds, so I should be getting some nice contrast in the tonalities, because this is going to be a black and white film. The oranges should be a lighter, and the tan should be a lighter, where maybe more my weeds like this and the grass are going to be darker. Could have brought my one of my contrast filters, either my yellow or my orange. I did not, so I'm going to shoot this one up straight normal. All right, let me head down that way. Let me see what else I can get. Well, what looked like a paved path kind of went all the way around. It looks like the paved path stops here and kind of just turns into a grass path. So good for hikers and stuff like that, dog walks and things. But, if you've got like, a wagon and you got your kids and stuff, just remember that might be a little rougher terrain. I'm on shot 14 of a roll of 36. Let me see what else I can get. All right, so minimum focusing distance on this is 0.45 meters, so you're just over a foot, let's say about 14, 15 inches or so, which is better than some of the other lenses that have been primed without a macro. This is actually getting me a nice cluster, maybe a 1:3 ratio. I would have to look up the specs specifically, but it actually does have a decent, kind of normal macro, not a super tight macro like a reversing ring or like a true macro lens. All right, let me see what else I can get. So this is the Pentax 50mm FA 1.4 SMC. So it does have the super multi-coatings that I have talked about in the past, where both sides of all the elements are coated. Not helping me much today, but normally that would add a little extra kick in your color, almost as if you were using a polarizing filter, but you wouldn't be getting that polarized effect to get rid of the glare. But the nice thing is that it does have all those extra coatings like the other Pentax branded lenses and even some of the point shoots that I've used before. All right, I got some yellow flowers. I don't know if these are weeds or whatever. I'm not a botanist type of guy. I don't know what these are, but they're kind of cool. They're yellow. Should look good on some black and white. And then I'm going to head down the grassy path a bit. Be right back. Now remember that a lot of these base level film autofocus cameras, the Pentax ZXs, the Minolta STSIs, QTSIs, the 430s, the Nikon 65s, that type of stuff, only had a few autofocus points. This one I believe has 3, kind of a center, left, right. A lot of the other ones also had 3 to maybe 5. You didn't really get more until you got to the mid-level bodies like Canon Zelons, or Nikons like the N90s or the 8008s, where you might get 8 or you might get 11. Some of the pro models might have had closer to 30. I would have to double check. There might have been one closer to 50, but in most cases you were, less than 30 on your autofocus point. So when you're trying to isolate something, sometimes it would jump around as it can't quite grab it, and you gotta sit there and recompose. All right, I'm gonna head down that path. I'll be right back. Nice thing is I've got some nice even lighting, so my exposure is not changing so much when I'm pointing that way to that way. My typical exposure that I'm seeing is 125th of a second at about f3.5. Now I can go lower if I wanted to, either crank up my f-stop or even crank it up to 5.6 f8 f11 if I need some depth, or back it down if I needed some more speed. But it's a very nice even lighting because it's an afternoon. Sun's kind of still in the sky, but it's not harsh like some of the other ones that I've done. So nice even lighting, even if it is a little bit chilly. All right, I'm on shot 24 of 36. Let me keep going. Let me see what I can get. All right, so as you can hear, that's the end of my roll. This camera will automatically kick in to rewind when it's done. Again, today's location was Medina Marsh. Never been here before, so it's kind of a cool place if you like wetlands, and there's the pond and the lake and up. And so kind of cool place. I think you can go kind of fishing, but I think it's a catch and release type thing going on. Today's camera was the Pentax ZX10. You saw a couple times before. This is the lens is the Pentax SMC-FA 50mm 1.4. This is the third 50-1.4 from Pentax I've shot. First one was the Takamar with the adapter. Second one was with the manual focus one. This is the third one. I'm sure I'll find 1 or 2 more out there. They had about 5 or 6 different ones. Today's film was film photography project 200 speed X-ray film, so should be nice and high contrast. I didn't shoot it at 200. I shot it at 160 with a slight overexposure like I typically do. But it's relatively in-date film, maybe within 6 months or so. I bought it when I was first starting the project about a year ago, and all the rest of the films that I got in that batch were just fine. So the photos will be posted at the end. If you like them, give them a thumbs up. Feel free to comment on either what camera you use or lens on a Pentax system or other systems, you know, Nikon, Yashica, Contax. Feel free to subscribe. New episodes try to come out about every Friday, every Saturday, with some bonus episodes that happen every now and then. I did one where I shot 7 rolls of film at Mansfield Reformatory. It was one of my longest episodes, but half those shots, they were all shot in black and white, but half of them with infrared black and white. Kind of some cool, dramatic photos in that set. All right, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next episode.